All right, we're back on.
Cool. All right, so let's talk. I've started listening to a lot of podcasts now that our commute has increased or doubled.
Yes, when we say doubled, it's gone from 7 minutes to 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, our commute is doubled.
Hey, but you gotta walk to the train station and then wait for the train and then you get on the train and then...
God, I hate using my legs.
Shut up. So I've started listening to podcasts because we leave separately in the mornings now because you go to work earlier than I do because it's summer. And so the listening to podcasts has become something I'm doing on a very frequent basis, and I'm starting to annoy you a lot by talking about, oh, did you hear on the podcast the other day? I was listening to, and they talked about this and they talked about that.
Well, I think I'm jealous. I want to start listening to podcasts more, especially since our commute has doubled to 14 minutes. But I'm really kind of using that time now for reading, which is really weird and
because you're not a reader.
I'm not a reader. Well, I mean,
you are now.
Okay, but
you're not a book reader.
I'm not a book reader.
You're a news
right.
hound.
It's not that I'm illiterate. It's not that I'm illiterate. I love news, so I'm always reading current events, and I'm always on.
Whereas I'm going to pick up the latest fantasy novel and spend 3 hours reading it. You need it in smaller snippets. So the 14-minute commute is the perfect amount of time for you to read something. It just takes you a really long time to get through a regular-sized book.
Yes. I'm reading The Circle right now, which this will be a later conversation, but I'm loving and...
I've already read it, and
yes.
I have my own opinions, and I'm not talking about it with you until you're finished reading it.
I understand.
We'll get there.
But right now, where I'm at in the book, and I'm about 75% in, I feel like 90% of what's happening, I wish was real. And
again, we're going to have this conversation
another
time. We'll record it or something, because I think it's going to get really heated.
Heated? What is that? Are we putting boxing gloves on, or was there a yelling?
Totally.
Should there be a mediator here?
I think we'll be okay.
Warn the neighbors, do not call the police. We're just talking about a book.
We're talking about a book.
Yeah.
But yeah, so podcasts. I've been sort of trying to expand from listening to just Nerdist podcasts, which I had listened to a few of them previously, but now I'm getting through I don't know, 1, 2, 3 a week, depending, which is about how often they post. They post a lot. When I started, I was like, oh, I'll listen to all the back issues.
Wait, are they all an hour long, roughly?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we could do the math. 2 days equals one podcast if you do 15 minutes per commute direction.
Yeah.
But then again, I'll listen to it.
That was some good math, by the way.
Hey, math. Woohoo! That being said, I was like, podcasting is actually really cool. I can listen to podcasts pretty much anywhere, anytime, any place. As long as I'm allowed to put my headphones in, which is nice. I don't know. I've just been on this kick for spoken words in my ear holes rather than musical words in my ear holes.
Okay, so this is what I find hilarious. Growing up in New York in the 80s, my weird brain just kind of goes back to how would it have been in the 80s with podcasts? Because, back then people walked around with giant boom boxes.
Well, you also had actual radio that people listen to then.
Right,
people don't listen to the radio now. Podcasting is taking over.
It just would have been hilarious if back then, I want to see a skit of podcasting in the 80s where instead of people walking around with boom boxes on their shoulders blasting Run DMC, they're walking around blasting a podcast.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen.
No. You don't really...
It'd be a good SNL skit, though.
But getting on the train, there's still that one person a week, if not every 3 days, that is on the train blasting whatever song off of their Galaxy S20 or iPhone.
Yeah, for sure.
And I haven't yet heard somebody blasting a podcast. The day will come, I'm sure. That day is not today.
That day is not today.
And tomorrow doesn't look so good either.
No. But yeah, so since listening to those, I've been wanting to listen to more podcasts, and it made me want to, do this whole podcasting thing again, because I was like, oh, it's easy. It's easy to listen to. It's easy to do. Or at least it should be easy to do.
But this was a good idea. I'm glad you came up with this idea of podcasting.
Hey, your stuff about stuff.
Right.
Yes, this was your idea last year, and we tried to implement it, and it was pretty good. We just, I think, stressed it too much. I think for us, it's more about having a conversation and talking about it, and not necessarily talking about planning in advance. I also have an issue of you have really good ideas, but I need to get to the point of me realizing that we can actually do said good ideas, and that
You're saying you have to be able to admit that I have a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm glad that is recorded.
Yeah, for all records, yes, Eric can have good ideas.
I went from can have ideas. Okay, so this your new project.
Which one? I have a lot of projects.
You have a lot of projects.
Well, first, before we get into projects, the other thing I want to just shout out is from San Diego Comic-Con. Since we weren't there, we couldn't be there. I looked for all sorts of media, photos, videos, Twitter feeds, YouTube, you name it. I looked for it when it came to San Diego Comic-Con, and I want to just say that the panels put together and filmed for Nerd HQ, which is Zach Levi's nonprofit that does raises money for Operation Smile. The panels he put together were fabulous, and I've been listening to them podcast style at work while I've been working on a really sort of drudgingly annoying project where I don't need to use a lot of my brain. It's sort of like clicking the same thing over and over again. So I've been playing the YouTube in the background, hidden behind all the windows that I'm working on, and listening to it as a podcast style panels from San Diego Comic-Con, which has been really awesome. And I feel like I know so much more about, there was an Orphan Black panel. There was, Stephen Amell from Arrow was on. Like, all of these different people that I find interesting in shows and entertainers that I find interesting, they were there. They talked about stuff. And even though I wasn't there, I still got to feel like I was a part of it and know that, people were having a good time and learning things. So
the podcasting has really changed a lot for you.
Even though that wasn't a podcast, it was a video of a panel, but I listened to it as if it were a podcast. So, again, it's sort of creeping into everything that I'm doing right now. But big shout out because they were really good. And they're on YouTube and you can watch them, and they're really funny, and it's a conversation, so it's audience question and answer, and a lot of the questions that the audience asked were questions that I would have had if I was there and could think of questions on the spot, which I cannot do.
I have not seen it yet, but I'm interested.
You should check it out. I mean, he did some panels with mystery guests, and it was just like people he could pull who were willing to come and sit in a room and answer questions from people, and it was totally random people. Like, he did a mystery panel guest a mystery guest panel. Yes, words in correct order. With like the Mythbusters and Nathan Fillion and cool. Brecken, what's his name? Yes. Anyway, no so it was very cool.
All right.
It was very cool. Yes. Okay, we can stop talking about podcasting now.
No, it's perfectly fine. You were really excited about that conversation.
I was really excited.
I, once again, want to get into them, but I'm probably 5 work days away from finishing The Circle.
Yes. So. And also, the other thing about listening to podcasts on the train, especially if it's something you find very interesting or that borderlines on funny, is you become that person. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know that person.
That person on the train or the bus or walking down the street who looks like they might be crazy because they have their headphones in, but they are grinning like an idiot or laughing out loud at themselves, and you don't know why they're laughing, and you can tell they're trying to stifle it. Yes, that is me.
Right.
I listened to something recently that literally every 5 minutes I was, holding back a chuckle.
Right.
And I just was like, I've been on this train for 15 minutes and everyone on the train thinks I'm a crazy person. But I am a crazy person.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer the person who is chuckling to themselves or the person who thinks they're Diana Ross and singing?
Well, do they actually sound like Diana
No,
Ross?
of course not, because no one...
Well, then I much prefer someone who's laughing.
Right.
As long as they don't look like they're going to kill me. Like, it can't be maniacal laughter. Like, if they're laughing because something is actually potentially funny, that's one thing. I don't want some, like, crazy serial killer who's, like, going to psycho the train up.
Yeah, no, I get that. But I would much rather... I feel like I'm more likely to smile myself if I see someone just oddly...
I will say that walking down the street with a huge grin on my face because I'm listening to something hilarious has elicited a lot of smiles in return.
The world smiles back.
Hey, not true in New York City. When I first moved here, being from the South, I smiled at everyone because, as you know, I'm from the middle of nowhere where everyone smiles and waves, even in your car as you drive past them. So I moved to New York and I smiled at everyone and made eye contact with everyone, and you can't do that in New York.
Right.
People think you're crazy.
Well, not just crazy, just creepy. Like, there were obviously certain ways to smile, and your smile was, I know you smile.
Hi!
Yeah.
Oh my god, how is your day going?
Which is why everyone's like, you are creepy, get away from me. But if it's just like, smile, I'm having a good day, people will smile back. But yes, you had this... not to offend the South, but probably this smile that translated to, I know you, and that's, you really don't. And it came off as creepy.
Well, because in the South, you act like that. You're like, I know everybody. Or at least in, where I was, it was like, hey! Because we probably know 3 people in common, even if I don't know who you are.
Right. You're related in one way or another.
No. Not true. Not related. Know someone in common. Not everyone in the South is related to one another.
No.
Is this going to turn into a North-South argument?
No, I'm not saying they're related. People don't marry their cousins in the South.
Rare. Sometimes. Only sometimes.
Right.
I don't know anyone who's married to their own cousin.
That's good.
So.
That's fantastic.
Alright, so we should stop that conversation there because... it's just going to go down even further down that dirt road.
It was just going good. Dirt roads, the South. Cousin married.
Okay. No. We're done with that.
So, podcasting, we got that out of the way. Your big, wonderful thing right now is cosplaying for New York Comic Con.
Yes. So, I am working on way too many projects, way too many cosplay projects for New York Comic Con right now. I know San Diego just finished, but we weren't there. So it kind of made me realize I gotta get moving on the projects for...
Wait, do you think San Diego Comic Con's ever going to be reality for us?
I wish.
See, I would love, like, it is the nerd mecca.
Yeah.
I would love to go to San Diego Comic Con. But reading that the lines have grown to an astronomical length, that people line up at 11 p.m. the night before just to get into Hall H, kind of makes me nervous.
So the thing is I would want to go to Comic-Con, but I would want to experience more of it than Hall H, and you would go to Comic-Con and just want to do Hall H.
I would go to...
So yeah. I would go, and I would want to walk the floor, and I would want to see everything, and I would want to pop into some panels, but I would know that I wouldn't make it into Hall H, because the likelihood of that is so slim. Similar to New York Comic Con, you have a tendency to sit in the main panel room all day, whereas I really want to pop around and go to different things see different people and go to Artist Alley and.
But hold on. In New York Comic Con, I pretty much stay in the main hall on Saturday because Saturday is when all the big events take place. But New York Comic Con also offers an ultimate VIP package, which is ridiculous in price, but it gives me the option to have somewhat of a reserved seat, so I can go in and out of the main floor. San Diego Comic-Con doesn't offer that at all.
Right, so you would have to sit in Hall H the whole time.
If I'm lucky, because from what I understand, unless you get there at 11 o'clock at night, between 11 at night to 3 in the morning, maybe 4.
This is like that episode of Big Bang Theory when they're waiting in line.
And then they
yes,
don't make it.
They're all waiting in line, and then Will Wheaton.
Exactly.
And damn you, Will Wheaton.
Damn Will Wheaton would be in front of me. No, he wouldn't be, because he'd be on a panel.
Yeah.
But,
he'd be sitting at the front of the room and he'd be like, shit.
Right. So, I mean, so that's my big problem. Like, yeah, it's great to go and walk the floor and see the amazing costumes. But when it comes to panels, I think New York is the best place for me. Because there's a better chance of me paying that extra cash and almost guaranteed that I'm going to get in.
I think right now what we're doing is just comparing San Diego and New York, but there's
you can't compare.
You can't.
San Diego once again is the dream, and in my heart of hearts, where I know I'll never go, I have to kind of make it seem like it's not as good.
Let's just hope that one day we either know someone or get famous,
or someone like offers us a free
pass
place
or something.
Yeah, a free pass.
Someone out there in the internet, give us free stuff.
Like, we feel so bad for you guys.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Stay at our place.
Yeah, no.
You know what? Actually, we could look for an Airbnb thing.
I'm sure they're all.
Or do what's that
Home
apartment
for exchange?
Home for exchange. That's actually a viable thing. We live in Manhattan, Upper West Side. It's nice. Not that far from Times Square. And we just swap and we go there and...
Well, now that everyone knows that we're planning on maybe one day going to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yep, maybe. If somebody wants to come to New York while we're there and spend a fantastic time in New York.
Although I would imagine that if anyone's, like a listener, that they're probably trying to go to San Diego Comic-Con and not necessarily trying to get out of San Diego during Comic-Con.
That's true.
Yeah, okay.
That's true.
So, now that we know that's a long shot, let's return our focus to New York Comic-Con and the cosplay projects that we're working on. So last year, I did my first official cosplay, which was Emma Frost, which was really fun, and I had a great time, and it was mildly terrifying to do a bare midriff cosplay. I will not be doing that again this year. However, I have set the bar very high for myself. You did...
what did I do? What did
Rorschach.
I do? Oh, Rorschach. But everything was purchased.
Yes, you purchased everything. So this year we are doing a mix of made and repurposed items to do cosplays. And the goal is to do... so over 3 days, we each do 3 costumes. So that's 6 costumes. Now, I'm kind of nervous about that as I've progressed through the project. Saturday is the big day, though, because both of our costumes are going to be entirely handmade, except for accessories. I'm going to say that because, the costumes themselves, I'm sewing the costumes. The accessories therein will be repurposed. Purchased and repurposed. Some
of those accessories, there's one accessory that you showed me recently that I feel like you could make out of the clay that you recently purchased.
Yeah, I could Sculpey the necklace that I'm working on. The chain is not going to be Sculpey, but I could use Sculpey, which is sculpture clay that I've never used before, but apparently is really awesome. I could use to make the necklace. So should we tell the internet what cosplays we're doing?
Sure. Do you want? Go ahead, and then I'll talk about my Rinky Dink Friday one.
Okay, Rinky Dink. Okay, so Saturday we are going to be cosplaying Game of Thrones. Eric's going to be.
That's Saturday?
Yes.
What happened to Friday? You totally missed a day. Friday.
Saturday is the day that we're doing the ones that are going to be totally handmade. Right. That's what we're talking about.
But Friday we're gonna. Well, you should start there. You're gonna go to Saturday and then jump to Friday.
Yeah, because that's the one that's the big project. Okay. So apparently he wants me to talk about Friday. So Friday I will be cosplaying as Anya Solo, who, if you are aware of the comic book Star Wars Legacy, she is Han Solo and Leia's, super great-granddaughter or something like that. I don't know. Not just daughter. Super great. It's
super great? Yeah, it's somewhere along the...
Down the line. She's a Solo. Yeah. That's all that matters. She is a really badass woman comic book character, and I really wanted to do her last year, and I got my #1 Star Wars Legacy comic signed at NYC comic. What was the comic convention that we just went to?
Oh, that special one. That
Special Edition NYC.
Special Edition NYC.
Which is also held at the Javits Center, which is where New York Comic Con is. This was the first year they did it. It was really a comics convention and not a entertainment expo sort of thing. So the artists were there, and I got them to sign my number 1, which was awesome. And I wanted to do Anya last year, and I'm going to do it this year. But most of the pieces are going to be pre-made or pre-purchased and repurposed, except for the top, which I'm going to have to put together myself because it's a little bit more complicated.
Right.
Do you want to talk about what you're doing on Friday?
Sure. What I would like to do on Friday, it's going to be very challenging because I'm relying on you. But that's going to be Doctor Strange.
Yep. Which I haven't started planning yet.
We haven't started planning that. I say we, but really all I do is wear it because you would have to make it. So that is the hope that costume can see the light of day.
So Friday is comic books, basically.
Friday is comic books. Yes, Friday is comic books. And then Saturday, which is the big day, which you're excited for because you wanted to start with the big one.
Yes. So Saturday, we're cosplaying Game of Thrones. Eric is going to be Littlefinger, and I'm going to be Sansa Stark from Season 4. So, spoilers, if you haven't watched Season 4 of Game of Thrones, you should, pause or stop or something.
Pause? Yeah, I want to pause. Maybe fast forward.
So, if you remember, they go to the Eyrie, and after Littlefinger kills her aunt.
Her aunt, yes, that was her aunt.
Yes. There's the scene where Sansa sort of comes into her own, and Littlefinger is now in charge of the Eyrie, and Sansa is sort of stepping into her role, and she has this awesome, kick-ass dress with feathers on it, and it is so cool. So cool. That I was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. And I haven't seen anyone else cosplay it yet, which now that I've said that means I'm going to see 15 other people cosplay it. But it's really challenging. I'm not an expert sewer. This is a really, really huge challenge.
You just posted an article about that, right?
I did. But your costume is actually more challenging than my dress because the robe has a lot of elements to it that I've never attempted before, and it is very fitted, which is an equally interesting challenge. It's easy enough to make a loose garment. It's much harder to make a fitted, tailored garment, especially when you are not entirely comfortable with sewing.
I imagine when you're not entirely comfortable with sewing, anything that you create, be it loose or fitted.
Loose is easy. Loose is okay, I got the general concept.
Loose is, I'm just going to drape you in this cloth.
And then pin and sew.
Right.
This is okay, let's make sure all the measurements are correct, and let's get really exacting, and let's make sure the pleats are right, which I had never done pleats before this.
You've never sewn before this.
Hey,
so that
I made it up as I went along before. This is me following a commercial pattern and then having to modify said commercial pattern.
Right. No, it's coming out. I'm really impressed, and I'm not just saying that. I'm thoroughly impressed seeing of how far you've gone with just learning this.
Yes. So the mock-ups that I'm doing right now are done in muslin, and then I'm going to have to go to the fabric store and spend a god-awful amount of money on nice fabric to do the actual thing in. So that's Saturday, which is massive and huge and overwhelming.
And I'm correct to say that we're going to attempt to enter the...
That'd be cool.
Enter the contest.
I'm a little nervous about it because I don't like competition and I don't like conflict.
And again, now I'm not going into it saying we're going to win at all.
You just want to compete.
It'd be fun to compete. It'd be fun to be up there and have people be like, "Oh wow, what a shitty job she did."
Hey,
no, it's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be fantastic that we're gonna showcase your hard work. I'm really proud of it.
Only if it looks good. If it looks like crap,
even if it looks like crap, I think we should go up there. I think we should go up there if it looks like crap.
I set such high standards for myself that if it looks like crap, I'm going to be on here as a cosplay. I'm not going to go out.
Listen, I've seen some people get on stage and it's just what the hell are you doing? It's going to look fantastic.
I really want the hard work to show, and being able to walk up to Yaya Han, who was at New York Comic Con last year, and
I don't know if she judged, but...
No. I meant to her booth. Last year, we went to her booth, and I got to meet her, and she was in really awesome cosplay. And we were both wearing Emma Frost, which was phenomenal. She was not midriff bearing, and she complimented me on my costume, that it was my first cosplay, and that I was brave enough to do a midriff bearing costume. And I thanked her, and I realized, oh my god, I have so much to learn. So this year, I really hope that the workmanship and the detail that I'm putting into this costume, which has not been really created yet, so it's imagined detail and workmanship, really shows. And, I can walk up to her and say, like, you really inspired me to push my craftsmanship to a higher level and, put the detail into it. Does that mean that I'm going to finish all my seams and I'm going to, like, line everything? Probably not, because that's a ton of time.
Right.
A ton of time. But I'm going to do the best that I can. And I think that's the whole point. And I'm having fun doing it, and I'm learning new things. And being able to show that I have learned something, and I've put my heart into it, and I've really tried and achieved the best of my ability. That's the part about it that I really like. And it's fun, and I get to dress up like a princess.
That's more.
Yay!
I think that's more. I don't know if she's a princess though.
Okay, I meant that I get a pretty gown.
See, that to me, that's more reason to actually go on stage and compete. To show people that, hey, this is your first time, and is it perfect? Maybe not.
But I'm going to learn a lot.
Right.
And I'll do better next time.
Because that's, to me, what cosplaying is about. It's not... I talked about it at work the other day, that, you have your different levels of cosplay. You have your people that come, and they'll just wear their favorite comic book t-shirt, or, sneakers, or just something to say, I'm a fan of this movie or comic book. And, to me, that is the entry level of cosplaying. Then you have your purchase costumes, which you go to the store, you buy, and once again, I'm representing that I enjoy this, part of my life.
Fandom.
Right. Then you have your people who make everything and mix some, purchased and made items.
And you can do a lot with repurposed items. Cosplay doesn't have to be all originally made. Like, I watched a video online the other day where they literally went to a thrift store and was like, how do you cosplay from a thrift store? And here you go. Like, right. They bought everything for their entire costume at a thrift store because they knew what they were looking for. Right. I mean, as long as you have an idea in your mind of what you want it to look like, you can probably find most of the stuff that you need. Unless you're doing a really complicated Game of Thrones costume like we're doing, which I can't find.
You even have, to me, the fans of sports. You wear your favorite team jersey
for your favorite player.
Guess what? You're
technically cosplaying. If you want to stretch the cosplay concept that far,
right? You're a fan, and you're showing your fandom, and that's
totally
what is. Someone at work was. I showed him a video of cosplaying in San Diego, and he was uncomfortable seeing people in cosplay, which I found hilarious. And
explain why you found it hilarious, though, because you found it hilarious because this guy wears more like
fandom outfits than anyone I know. Like it is. Wears his sports team every day. Huge fan of the Oakland Athletics baseball team. And wears it
all the time.
All the time. So he's once again, that's a form of cosplaying, of fandom in my mind.
And that's how you had to explain it to him. Was like, okay, but think about the fact that you're wearing your hat and your jersey,
But the whole thing was, his fear was that people would come over to him and be like, I'm dressed as such and such. What do you think? And he just had that fear of, well, if it doesn't look good, what do I say? Like, if this weird person's going to come over in character.
Like,
oh, that's not what happens.
That's not how it works.
People don't cosplay and walk around and be like,
and what do you think?
Right.
Aren't I amazing?
Right.
No,
right.
That's not how cosplaying works at all.
Exactly. And
you're cosplaying wrong.
And unless you're LARPing, but then yes.
But that's different.
Right, which we had this whole thing. I said it's not LARPing. Like, it's totally different. And the whole thing about taking photos. I explain to people, to me, that's a huge compliment to me if I'm dressed as a character. Once again, be it a purchased item or something that was made. When someone comes over and says, "Can I take a picture of you or with you?" That's a huge compliment to me. Anything that I put on and someone asks that, I'm like, okay, mission accomplished. Even if it's just one person, mission accomplished. Somebody out there was...
And that they recognize what you were trying to do. And that they care enough the same way you care to want to take your photo. Like, it's more about recognizing other fans of the same genre or recognizing fans of the hard work you put in. They're giving you recognition for something that you love.
Yes, but even you want to take it a step further. Stopping a stranger and saying, "Can I take a picture of you?" is difficult in itself. You know? So it's twofold. One, they're saying, "I don't know this person. Can I take a picture?" Maybe that's not a big deal. Other places of the world, but in New York, where
you don't talk to
you don't talk to strangers.
You just people.
We kind of keep to ourselves.
Yeah,
we kind of keep to ourselves,
especially in public places, because there are so many people around and there is so much going on that you have a level of decency and you just don't strike up conversation with strangers out on the street.
Right.
You might in a bar. You might at a restaurant. You might.
But you don't just... Right.
You don't just...
Right. You don't just take... When you see people walking around taking photographs around New York, it's of sights, it's of buildings, it's of clouds. It's, you really don't see people taking...
Unless you're humans of New York.
But, so to have someone stop you and say, "Can I take a photo of you or with you?"
Yeah.
I think takes some guts.
Totally.
So... And that's what I was trying to explain. And he was like, well, he wouldn't even be able to ask somebody to take a picture. That is just out of his comfort zone.
Uh-huh.
And I explained, well, there are enough people stopping other people to take photos.
That you can probably still
get
a
because
photo.
I was that person years ago. It was weird to stop somebody and say, "Can I take your photo?"
I still have problems with it, and I do it for my job sometimes.
Right.
That's a aspect of my job is to ask people to take photos, and I'm like, but I don't want to interrupt what they're doing.
Right.
What if they're in the middle of I get way too mental about it.
Right.
So, but that being said, cosplaying at a con is all about seeing what other people are creating, and it is a very welcoming place to stop someone and ask to take their photo, because they are cosplaying with the hopes that people will want to take their photos and appreciate the work that they put in.
Just appreciate the work that they put in.
It is a venue for appreciating the amount of work that someone has put into creating something that reflects something that they care about.
Right.
Which I think is really cool. But we haven't talked about Sunday's cosplay yet.
Oh, Sunday's cosplay.
We got off on this whole tangent about the thoughts of cosplay and why and So anyway, so Sunday we are also cosplaying. And you should talk about your cosplay first.
Okay, so mine is not made. This is, once again, one of those purchased...
it's modified.
Modified, sure. But I'm going as the Joker from Death of the Family, not In the Family. This is the one where the Joker comes back and he's sliced off his face. So I'm getting the mask, which has the wig attached, from Amazon, because the Death of the Family book is being released then. I believe it's something like September 30th, I want to say.
Yes, just in time for Comic-Con.
Yes, and it comes with the mask. So that was really cool. So we purchased a Dickies...
blue, work jumpsuit, mechanic
jumpsuit.
Coveralls. Yeah,
yes,
there's the word.
Yes, so you're gonna sew Joe's...
So I'm gonna do the slight mod, and it's a name badge, like a patch, on the above the pocket on the left hand side in the front, and it just says Joe. And the back is stenciled letters, Joe's Garage, and I'm gonna do those just with fabric paint, and I'm probably gonna just hand letter it. I was thinking stencils, but I'm pretty good at drawing letters. I think I'm gonna draw letters in chalk and then paint it in. It should be pretty quick.
It should be pretty quick.
We have the coveralls already. I just bought the paint.
Right.
I just need to sit down and write the letters on the back, and then I'm going to probably just find a place that does patches and order a Joe patch.
Yeah, I'm.
And then you just need a tool belt.
And I just need a tool belt. I mean, I'm super excited because I love the Joker. He's probably
your favorite ever.
My favorite character. And as much as I love, Heath Ledger's Joker, once again, it was fantastic, but that's not my Joker.
Correct. I just want to... You say that he's your favorite character ever, but I don't think you've really emphasized the fact that you have a Joker hoodie, you have Joker Converse, you have Joker...
There was a point in my life where I was going to get a Joker tattoo. I did not get it.
Which I appreciate.
But there was a point in my life where I was going
T-shirts,
to get it.
Don't you have like a marionette puppet thing?
I do have a marionette puppet.
Everything Joker.
Well, not everything. I mean, I can have a lot more.
I'm glad you don't.
At one point, and unfortunately when I moved at one point in my life, I no longer have it, but I had the Joker Hamlet statue, which is really awesome. He was holding up the skull.
That's cool.
Yeah, that went somewhere at one point. That was
pre-me.
That was pre-you. But yes, I've always appreciated the character, and one day I would like to really do a maid outfit costume.
Yes,
but
once I learn how to sew even better, and I can sew you the 3-piece suit.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
Right.
This is hard enough as it is to make a robe, button-y robe thing.
Right.
For Littlefinger.
Right. And I think it's really cool because, I mean, it is a scary kind of mask, I guess, when you have a face torn off. But Sunday at New York Comic Con, it's Kid Day.
Yes.
And once again, they get the Joker. They get from
they'll recognize who that is.
Right. So I think it's kind of fun. As Sunday, I really don't go to any panels. I mostly just walk around. That's when I think I get the most of my pictures.
Yeah.
And there are a lot more kids around.
So the annoying part is you're going to want to sit in the main stage all day on Saturday, which is when you're going to have your fancy cosplay on. No,
I'm going to be walking around a lot. I'm going to go for whatever Avenger panel there'll be.
There'll be Walking Dead.
There'll be Walking Dead, which is most likely how they close the show out. That's how they've been closing. So there'll be a few panels.
Because our costumes work together.
I understand it. But I'm going to have to be there for the Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they show some kind of clip.
Well, they showed a trailer at San Diego Comic-Con.
Right, which, did you hear, will not be shown anywhere else. They're never going to release it to the public. They said it was for San Diego Comic-Con.
Only?
Yes, those viewers only. And that's just, a thank you to them. So, will New York Comic-Con maybe get the same thing? Or
they'll get a different trailer, obviously.
Or
something.
But hopefully they'll do the same thing and say, well, this is just for New York Comic-Con. I know that upsets some people because they want to see it, but I feel like, these people who can make it out and are able to go, do want that little recognition to feel a little special. Like, yes, I've gone on my way to go here.
So, we haven't talked about my cosplay for Sunday, which is up in the air. Which I know you're like, wait, it's up in the air.
This is news to me.
This is news to you. Newsflash.
I think I know why it's up in the air. I think it's up in the air because there's somebody else that you want to go as.
Yes.
All right.
So this is my problem with cosplay: is that there's too many characters, and I want to cosplay everything.
All right. So the one that you've announced that you were going to do.
I was going to do Celine from Underworld because I've always wanted to do her, and I think she's so badass. She's so cool, and I'm really fair-skinned, and that was. Seemed
no makeup required.
No makeup required. I would fit right in. It would be perfect.
But now...
I really want to do Black Canary from Arrow.
I knew that was going to come up.
I so want to do it. And Stephen Amell from Arrow is going to be there, and he is doing photo ops, and that would be so cool to get a photo of him.
But you also wouldn't be the first. You wouldn't be the first. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of Black Canary cosplay going on.
Because Arrow will have just come back. It comes back at the beginning of October, right before
I guess I have to watch it.
You have to watch. Last season was so
Ra's
good.
al Ghul's going to come in this season.
Yes. So, okay. I'm sure he's going to do some panels, and he's doing autographs, and they announced it a couple weeks ago, and I'm really excited about it because Arrow was one of the shows this past season that I started watching on DVR and then started watching live, and I would like kick you out of the TV room and be like, I have to watch Arrow now, go do something else. You did watch the Suicide Squad one because you were really hoping that Harley was going to be in it, but she wasn't.
She wasn't in it. It was really sad.
Her voice.
The voice I thought was really good. I was really happy with the voice.
But yes, so I really want to...
I wish she would have said Mr. J or something, but...
Anyway, enough of that. Okay.
Calm yourself. All right? I want you to talk more about Harley Quinn, who's probably my next favorite character. But
well, that's because you love the Joker so much. But, okay. Black Canary. I was hesitant originally to do the costume because she is a new character in the... I mean, on the TV... She's in... The version of the TV character is very new. Mm-hmm. And... It's one thing to do an established character who's been in comic books and things, and I know Canary is in the comic books, but they've sort of re-envisioned her for Arrow, which is totally fine, and I really like her. I like her character, I like her backstory, I like everything about her. So really, I don't know why I questioned cosplaying her, but again, it's very fresh, and it's very new, and I've always wanted to do Selene from Underworld, and, Kate Beckinsale is really hot.
I feel like my mom really wanted you to play Black Canary, though.
Did she really?
I think so. I think when you posted it on Facebook, I think
she
that's
picked
what
that
she
one.
picked.
I'll have to go back and look. I did a poll on Facebook of all my Facebook friends of what I should cosplay, and Black Canary was one of the options, and there were a few people who voted for it. My entire family said I should be Selene, though. So that sort of had swayed me in that direction. Except they didn't know what her name was. They were just like, pick the vampire girl.
Pick the vampire girl. Well, I mean, you still have
time. But I gotta make a decision because I gotta move forward and get all this stuff. Yeah. The Selene costume, I had already figured out how I would do it, like the mechanics of doing the corset, the leather embroidery on the corset, and all of this stuff.
Would you buy that, or are you looking to make that?
So you want to know how I was gonna do it? Mm. I was going to buy a pre-done corset in black, in the correct-ish shape that I needed. Then I was going to get leather and stitch the leather in the embroidery pattern, like dot out how I needed the pattern to go, use the sewing machine, stitch it, and then attach it to the pre-made corset so that I'm not actually making my own corset because I have enough challenges of learning how to do something new. But to at least get the look right. And do it that way. I don't know how I'm going to do Black Canary.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I have a blonde wig, though, from Emma Frost from last year, which is good. I have that checked off. But I don't have, her all-leather getup, and she has, a cropped black leather jacket that she wears, and a corset top, and, these really intricately laced pants, and all of this stuff. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. So I would love to do it. I think it could be really fun. I think it would be very recognizable, especially because the show is really popular right now and it's gaining more and more popularity. So yeah, Sunday's up in the air for me. To be determined.
All right. And then now we'll go back Thursday, which is opening night.
Opening day.
No, Thursday is...
There's stuff all day Thursday.
Really?
Yes. It starts, I think, at noon. Last year, we were at work.
Right.
And we went right after work.
We're still going to be at work this Thursday. No. We're off Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're off Thursday and Friday. It's good to know. So I'm going to redo a Infinity Gauntlet.
Which is very good timing.
Yes, very good timing. I made one 2 years ago, which I was the only one that I saw at Comic-Con 2 years ago, so I felt really good about that. But it was big, it was bulky. I bought a big, rubbery gardening glove. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a snug fit. It really looked like it would fit Thanos' real hand. And then I threw what do you call that on there?
The craft foam? Or
craft foam.
And
wrapped it in
spray
craft
paint.
foam. Spray painted it and got some jewels, and I painted those. Some of them were painted, some of them weren't. And, it was cool. I'm not going to say I hated it at all, but at the time I was like, wow, this is amazing. I got the idea from Crabtree Industries. Is that what they go by? Holly and Jessica. Crabcat. Crabcat. Yes, they did one. I want to say a little over 2 years ago, and they gave me the idea.
Oh, I didn't realize that's where you got the idea.
Yeah, they actually made one. It's like a 6-minute video.
Oh.
And watching the video, I was like, this is easy to make. This is amazing.
That's awesome.
And then as soon as I decided to make it, I realized that they had access to
a lot of materials that we don't have access to. Or have access to, but they are very expensive.
They are very expensive. So I had to use craft foam and just different things.
There's nothing wrong with craft foam.
Nothing wrong with craft.
You need to learn how to use it better.
I don't know how to use it. So this year, I kind of wanted more of a fitted glove that wasn't so bulky. So it wasn't like I was wearing Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet.
But your Infinity Gauntlet.
Correct. Instead, that I somehow obtained gems and I'm putting them on a glove of my own, which might sound stupid, but I think it might actually look kind of cool. So I bought a welder's glove, which are normally kind of still big and bulky, but I was able to get one that was a little more fitted.
Just say what it was, what the reviews on Amazon said when you bought it? Because this is just awesome. And because it's one of my favorite people in the entire world.
So I'm searching. I had no idea what I was going to get. And I went around, I went to Home Depot to look for gloves. And I looked at gardening gloves. And, they were all like this leather version, but that like suede-ish leather. Which I don't think would take to the gold spray paint.
Well, it would, but it would end up still being textured.
Right. And I was thinking maybe I could shave it down so it wouldn't be... So
let's not get
I moved away from that. And then, I don't know, I had this idea of, hey, a welder's glove kind of looks more like a gauntlet. So then I found one, which is great, but it was also suede material. And then I went to my best friend, Amazon, and looked it up there and found a leather one, which looked fantastic. But... I go to check reviews. I don't know what made me want to look at reviews. I went to look for reviews for sizing.
Because they didn't have a size chart.
And pretty much all the reviews said that this is the perfect glove for...
Captain Hammer from Dr. Horrible. I love Nathan Fillion. And I saw that. I was like, you have to order this.
Which is... Because if you look for this glove... every accessory they recommend...
The related items were all of the rest of the costume.
Yes.
And I was just like... Okay, well, obviously we know people are using this to cosplay, so that's good. We'll start there. So yes.
So the other glove I looked at was for Dr. Horrible.
Uh-huh.
But it was, once again, kind of big and bulky.
And you wanted it to be more fitted.
I wanted it to be a little more fitted.
Yeah.
So we've purchased that glove now. It has a button snap on the inside.
Yeah. So
which we're going to fold in and sew.
Yeah.
Once that happens, I'll spray paint it.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get to
I know. I'm not rushing.
Yeah,
of course, what I am. I'll spray paint it gold.
Uh-huh.
And I also want to get clear jewels this time. And I want to put LED lighting inside.
You really got to get started on this like yesterday.
Right. So
because you've never done anything with LED.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But it'd be great if I can have all 6 jewels lit up with their correct color. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be on all the time. It won't be something that will flash.
So we're going to carry around a lot of extra batteries.
A lot of extra batteries. That's what Heroes of Cosplay had taught me.
Yes. Which is a great show on Sci-Fi. If you haven't watched it, go online and watch the old episodes. Everything that they do, I look at and I go, okay, so I'm going to make sure I have plenty of time, plenty of batteries, because they don't.
But they also go to, some kind of event every other week.
Correct. Well, it is a show that comes on every other week.
No, but there's always all right, now we need to get prepared.
In 3 weeks, we got to get ready for, WonderCon.
Right. So there's always something. So I'm excited about this new and improved gauntlet.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will...
It's going to look good.
If I can make it. It's not my thing.
Right now I don't have any cosplay planned for Thursday. I may just wear a really nerdy t-shirt and leave it at that. I'm doing 3 days of cosplay. That's going to be exhausting.
You could put your Emma Frost back on.
I don't want to.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. So, yeah. So, that's our New York Comic-Con weekend. It's going to be busy. We're going to be there as late as we possibly can.
I'm sure there'll be more talking about the panels and the guests and everything at a later date. But just to get the ball rolling. And... Right. Podcast again.
Right.
So, anyway, till next time.
Next time.
Stay nerdy.
Thanks for listening, guys.